The glass doors part with a soft hiss, and the world inside the CEO office freezes for a moment. She's standing there, a tiny figure against the towering backdrop of polished steel, glass walls, and sprawling city views. 7 years old, maybe 8. Her hair is messy, her cheeks flushed from the cold outside. She's gripping a worn-out backpack so tightly her knuckles are white. Every step she takes echoes louder than it should. The receptionist, halfway through a phone call, blinks and stammers, "Sweetheart, this isn't a place for..." But the girl keeps walking, eyes locked on the man behind the massive mahogany desk at the far end. He glances up from his paperwork, eyebrows knitting together. "Who let a child in here?" His assistants are already whispering, glancing at each other. This is a floor where even senior executives need an appointment months in advance. The girl stops a few feet from the desk. Her voice is small, trembling, but the words carry, "Mom's sick, so I came instead." There's a shift in the air, an almost imperceptible tightening. The clack of keyboards stops. The low hum of conversation fades. The CEO leans back in his chair, studying her like a puzzle he's not sure he wants to solve. "Do you even know who I am?" he asks, his tone halfway between amusement and annoyance. She nods without hesitation. "You're the man Mom said could save everything." The weight of that sentence hangs between them. His mind races. Save what? Save who? He doesn't know this child, doesn't know her mother. Yet, there's something in the way she stands. Feet planted firmly, shoulders squared. That makes it impossible to simply wave her away. The receptionist takes a tentative step forward. "Sir, should I?" "No," he says, eyes still locked on the girl. "Let her speak." Her lips press together as if she's holding back more than she's ready to say. The CEO notices her back pockets frayed along the edges, a zipper hanging by a thread. One corner bulges awkwardly, like something hard is tucked inside. She's shivering slightly, not from cold, but from holding herself so still in a place that's clearly foreign to her. Every detail about her feels deliberate, like she's been preparing for this moment. "Where's your mother?" he asks, voice measured. The girl swallows. She couldn't come. She's not well. It's not the words, but the way she says them. Flat, like she's had to explain this too many times to too many strangers. There's no tremor in her voice now, only a quiet determination. He leans forward, resting his elbows on the desk. "And you think I can help her?" "I don't think," she replies, "I know." A murmur ripples through the assistants at the edge of the room. The CEO notices but ignores it, his attention fixed solely on her. There's something unsettling about her certainty, about the way she hasn't broken eye contact once. She doesn't answer his question right away. Instead, she slides the backpack off her shoulders and sets it gently on the floor. From inside, she pulls out a large envelope, creased, worn at the edges like it's been carried for miles. Her small fingers work carefully, almost ceremoniously, as if the contents are too important to mishandle. The CEO watches, brow furrowed. He notices her hands are trembling now, though her voice earlier had been steady. She places the envelope on his desk, pushing it toward him without a word. He hesitates, then opens the flap. Inside, photographs. The first is of a small, weather-beaten house, paint peeling, roof sagging, a single dim light in one window. The next, stacks of bills, each stamped with angry red letters, "Final notice." Past due, and then he freezes, a faded, slightly torn photo of himself, not recent, not even close. His hair is darker, his jawline sharper, his smile easy in a way it hasn't been in years. Standing beside him in the picture is a woman, laughing, leaning into him, her arm wrapped around his waist. The girl speaks for the first time in several seconds. "That's my mom." The air seems to drop a degree. His eyes snap up to her, then back to the photograph. He knows that woman, knew her. It's been over a decade since they last spoke, but he would recognize her anywhere. Memories he's tried to bury push to the surface. Late nights at a tiny apartment, the smell of rain through cracked windows, the arguments that grew sharper each time they spoke, until one day she was simply gone. How? His voice is lower now, almost caught in his throat. She told me you might not remember her, the girl says quietly, but she said you would remember the promise you made. His pulse quickens. Promise. The word feels like a trigger, pulling something loose from the back of his mind. He remembers a night when he told her, "If you ever need me, I'll be there." But that was before the promotions, before the corporate wars, before he built a fortress around his life. He looks back at the girl. She's not flinching, not looking away. Her mother's eyes are locked on his, challenging him to deny what's in front of him. Slowly, she reaches back into the envelope and pulls out one last item, a folded piece of paper creased so many times it's on the verge of tearing. She slides it across the desk. It's a contract, his company's logo in the corner. The date 12 years ago, the signature lines, one signed by him, the other blank. The deal had been left unfinished, the terms never fulfilled. He remembers now. It was supposed to change her life. She said if you had kept your word. The girl says, voice tightening, she wouldn't be sick. The office is silent except for the faint hum of the air conditioning. The CEO leans back in his chair, staring at the paper as if it might change if he looks long enough. The ink on his signature is faded now, but it's undeniably his. The looping flourish at the end of his name is the same one he still uses today. The contract is short, barely 3 pages, yet the weight of it feels heavier than the thickest legal binders stacked on his shelves. The girl's voice cuts through the stillness. She said you promised that you'd finish what you started, that you'd make sure she was safe. Safe. The word rings in his head. He remembers the deal, the urgency back then, the way she had looked at him with trust so complete it scared him. He also remembers why he didn't follow through other priorities, other pressures, an opportunity too big to walk away from. He tells himself it was just business, that it wasn't personal. But staring at this child, he's not so sure that excuse holds up anymore. He flips through the contract again. The terms are simple enough. Investment, property rights, revenue sharing, nothing unusual, but at the time it would have meant a lifeline for her. Now, it's just a piece of paper with an expiration date long past. The girl takes a small step closer, the toes of her sneakers brushing against the edge of his desk. She said, if you didn't do it then, you'd regret it one day. She said, this was my job now. His eyebrows pull together. Your job, to make you listen, she says, her voice firm in a way that doesn't match her size, to make you understand. The challenge in her tone isn't loud, but it's sharp. It slices through the air more effectively than any raised voice could. The assistants along the wall exchange uneasy glances, unsure if they should intervene. He rests the contract on the desk, fingers drumming against the wood. Part of him wants to dismiss her, to tell her that business deals don't work like fairy tales, that promises made in the past can't always be honored, but another part, one he's tried to bury, wants to hear what she'll say next. What do you think I'm supposed to do now? He asks slowly. You're supposed to keep your word. She answers without hesitation. Or look me in the eye and tell me you won't. Her stare is unblinking. The CEO feels something unfamiliar coil in his chest. Pressure, yes, but something else too. Guilt, fear, he's not sure. The air in the office feels tighter. He glances at the photo still lying on his desk, the one of him and her mother. The edges are frayed, the colors faded, but the connection between that moment and this one feels sharp enough to cut skin. He notices the girl's small hands curling into fists at her sides, the way her chin lifts just a fraction higher, as if she's daring him to say no. He leans back, the leather of his chair creaking softly. His eyes stay fixed on the girl, but his mind has already started moving in too many directions at once. Is she telling the truth? Could she be coached, sent here by someone looking for a payout? His company's worth billions. People have tried everything to get close. fake claims, forged documents, elaborate stories. He has built his entire career on reading people, spotting the lie before it fully forms. But now he can't tell. The girl shifts her weight from one foot to the other, still watching him. Her gaze doesn't dart around the room like a liar's often does. It stays locked on him, steady, almost unnervingly so. "What's your mother's condition?" he asks, his voice measured, controlled. Her answer is quick. She can't get out of bed. Some days she can't even talk. The doctor says she needs treatment right away. And where is this doctor? She hesitates this time, her lips pressing together. Not here, she doesn't trust hospitals anymore. That flicker of hesitation sets off something in his mind, trust or the lack of it. Was she hiding something, or was she simply scared? He drums his fingers against the desk, the sound filling the silence. The assistants are still in the room, frozen in place. None of them are writing anything down now. They are watching, listening, waiting for him to decide how this plays out. "I've seen scams built on less," he says, not unkindly but firmly. Her eyes flash. "I'm not lying. You wouldn't be the first person to say that to me," he replies, leaning forward slightly. "But I don't make decisions based on feelings. I make them based on proof." She takes a step back, as if the distance might protect her from his doubt. "What kind of proof do you need?" He studies her, weighing his words. Proof could mean medical records, legal documents, witnesses. But even if she had them, would that be enough? If this is real, stepping into it means opening doors he's kept locked for years. A part of him wants to end the conversation, to push this entire moment out of his office and his life. Yet another part, quieter but sharper, keeps whispering that he might regret that forever. The girl grips the straps of her backpack again. "You think I'm making this up because I'm just a kid." He says nothing. She takes that as an answer. "She told me you'd say something like that. She told me you'd try to find a reason not to believe me." Her voice isn't accusing, but the words still land with weight. They settle into the space between them, and for a moment neither of them moves. The CEO exhales slowly, eyes drifting back to the faded photograph on his desk. The younger version of himself in that picture feels like a stranger, someone reckless enough to believe in promises without fine print. Someone who thought loyalty mattered more than leverage. The girl hasn't moved. Her hands are still gripping the straps of her backpack, but now her knuckles are pale from the pressure. He notices the way her shoulders lift slightly with every breath, like she's bracing for a hit that hasn't come yet. He glances toward the assistants along the wall. They're silent, eyes darting between him and the girl, unsure which way this is going to turn. He knows they're all waiting for a single word from him, either to have her removed or to pull her closer. His hand moves toward the contract. The paper crinkles softly under his fingers. 12 years have passed since he signed it, but the memory of the night he made that promise sharpens with each second. Rain on the windows, her hair damp from the downpour, the way she wouldn't look at him when she said, "If you walk away now, I won't ask again." He did walk away. His jaw tightens. He picks up the phone on his desk, the sleek black receiver heavy in his hand. "Get my legal team up here," he says into it, his tone clipped. "All of them, now." The assistants stir, glancing at each other. The girl doesn't move, but her eyes widen just slightly. He hangs up before anyone can respond. Within minutes, the sound of hurried footsteps fills the hallway. A group of sharp, suited lawyers files in, clutching notepads and laptops. They pause when they see the girl standing in front of the desk, but he waves off their unspoken questions. "This contract," he says, tapping the paper in front of him, "was signed by me 12 years ago. It was never executed. I want it reviewed, rewritten, and completed immediately." One of the lawyers hesitates. "Sir, that's highly unusual. The statute of limitations." "I don't care about the statute." He cuts in, his voice hard. "I'm not asking for an opinion. I'm giving you an order." The lawyers exchange glances but start jotting down notes. The girl is watching him carefully now. her posture still guarded but her grip on the backpack loosening. He turns to his CFO, who has quietly slipped into the room. Find out the exact amount needed to bring her mother's property back to stability. Clear the debt today. The CFO raises an eyebrow but nods, pulling out his phone. Papers shuffle. Fingers fly over keyboards. The air in the room is charged, the quiet hum of focused movement replacing the earlier stillness. The CEO signs a flurry of documents, his pen scratching across the paper with quick, deliberate strokes. Every signature feels like a step towards something he's not ready to name. The room is still humming with activity when the last document is signed. The CEO sets his pen down, the final copy of the newly executed contract resting neatly in front of the girl. She steps closer, her small fingers brushing over the paper as though it's something fragile. Her eyes linger on his signature, the ink still wet, sharp, and deliberate. It's done. He says quietly, "You can take this to your mother." She nods, slipping the document into her backpack with care. But she doesn't turn to leave right away. Instead, she stands there, looking at him with an expression he can't quite read. Is something wrong? He asks. She shakes her head, then hesitates. "Mom told me to tell you something, but only after you helped." His brows lift slightly. "What is it?" The girl takes a deep breath. She said, "You're my dad." The words hang in the air, heavier than anything that came before. The sound of typing stops. The lawyers freeze mid-sentence. Even the CFO phone call falters into silence. He stares at her, the weight of the moment pressing into his chest. Her face. He can see it now, the echoes of the woman in the photograph mixed with traces of his own features. The curve of the jaw, the way her eyes narrow just slightly when she's determined. Memories rush in uninvited. That one night they didn't mean for things to change. The phone calls that grew shorter, then stopped altogether. The way he convinced himself she'd moved on without him. His throat feels dry. Did she ever try to tell me? The girl's voice is small. She said she wrote letters. She didn't know if you got them. He leans back, the realization hitting him like a punch. The missed messages, the assistant he fired years ago for intercepting personal calls, the chance he never knew he lost. She shifts the backpack on her shoulder. "She didn't want me to come. She said you had your own life now, but I thought maybe you'd want to know." The CEO hands are still on the desk, but now his fingers curl against the polished wood. He wants to ask her 100 questions. What her first word was, what she likes to eat, what she dreams about at night, but none of them make it past his lips. Instead, he stands. The movement startles a few people in the room, but he doesn't care. He walks around the desk and stops in front of her. For the first time, he's close enough to see the faint freckles across her nose, the way her lashes catch the light. "Tell your mother," he says, his voice steady now, "that I'm coming to see her." The girl's eyes widen, but she nods. She turns toward the door, clutching the backpack tightly. As she leaves, the room slowly comes back to life. Papers shuffling, phones ringing, but he's not listening anymore. For the first time in years, business isn't the only thing on his mind.